you know, you take for granted a lot of times just going into a voting booth. Like, okay, I guess it's that time. It's every 2 years, every 4 years. Doing this film, you see the sacrifices that these men and women took and the lives that were put, you know, that were laid on the line. Like, you know, Jimmy Lee, you know, Viola, many people died in order for us to have that right that we were supposed to have anyway. So it just gave me a lot of time to reflect and like, man, I got to take it seriously.
Yes. I would probably have to say for me, being in a situation where you say, you know, a lot of us have just experienced a lot of the marches that have taken place in Ferguson and New York, but it's a very different thing now than it was then when you say, if I stand and walk down this road, I might not come back home. And I think that the weight of that, when we walked across that Edmund Pettus Bridge, when we went through those communities, and some of the people you see in this film were actually there then. Wow. So it was soul stirring, to say the least.
One of the pleasures for me that this film has brought to light, I brought my grandson to a screening Saturday, and in November I had to push him and my son to vote. He did not want to vote, and I was trying to explain to him the importance of voting and the people who had died so that he had the right to vote. He came to the screening, he saw the film, and afterwards he was really excited, told me he understood what I was trying to say to him. And it made me feel really good that hopefully that what will happen with this film is that it will teach the younger generation. Ava always says that most people don't know anything about Martin Luther King. They think holiday, statue, I had a dream, and the march, and that's the extent of it. Hopefully this film will enlighten a lot of people and motivate people to make changes.
I actually had the opportunity to hear from some of her family members, but I will tell you this. I'm a new wife. I got a new husband over there, and I've only had him for about 3 years. And he still got the new car smell on. Amen, somebody. So, one thing I will tell you was so interesting. I've never played a character ever who could cook. It was never required in any area, right? So I really, and I was not cooking before I played Richie Jean, but I have been inspired because she fed the movement. Do you understand what I'm saying? These people lived in her home. She washed for them. She cleaned for them. She cooked for them and made sure they had. She provided. She was there to provide provision for the vision. And I just got inspired, and my husband is still living, so I must be doing something right in the kitchen to pick that up and give that to my family. I'm always at the one woman with all those boys. Yes. But I can handle them. I can handle them.
For me, one of the things I had never heard of Kegley or Jimmy Lee Jackson. That wasn't in our history books.
Right.
So one of the things with Kager that I could identify with was the pain of the age. I mean, I've seen a lot in my lifetime, and the death of a family member, especially a murder. So, I mean, it was just a thing of just kind of trusting instincts, and hopefully that what would come across would be a truth that Kegley was going through. As Ava always says, it's not called King, it's called Selma. And it was about the people of Selma. And I mean, in the film, you see a lot of the marches. You get to meet a lot of the people that are in the marches. And with Kager, Viola, and Jimmy Lee, you got to, they were the everyman, and they were kind of the core people of the march, because without them, Martin would have been doing it in a vacuum. He would have
blessed to be from Atlanta, Georgia. So the James Oranges, the Andrew Youngs, the Hosea Williams are monuments of our city. James Orange, I've worked with him. I've worked with Hosea Williams a lot. His daughter and his son-in-law are mentors to me, and I've worked with them for 10 years. My mom saw him tonight in Atlanta. So I felt the responsibility of playing James Orange and to bring it to the screen. I wanted that. You know, just being a boy from the city, it's like, man, they're doing a movie about these legends. I have to be a part of it.
Right. Well, you know, I've done a lot of things that are, you know, the Reno 911s of the world, and I play Cedric the Entertainer's wife on TV Land. So I have a lot of broad sort of comedies. But when I started doing Getting On HBO, that was the show that Ava DuVernay, who directed this film, saw me in and called me at home on a Sunday morning and said, "You're my Rich Eugene." I said, "Girl, let me put my clothes in the bag." I'm on my way. Yes. You know, because I was so excited. So yes, Getting On has given birth to some other projects and allowed people to see me a little differently than they had prior to.
We had a lot of marches. So those two in the heat with big overcoats and as if it was February and it was actually June in the middle of Atlanta, Georgia, and in the middle of Selma, Alabama. So, yeah, those two-a-day workouts really did help out a lot. Well, just the whole Gentle Giant thing, you know. I've always it's that. I had that connection to him, and I've met him before. I've worked with him before, you know. And he was always like this Superman. Whenever I saw him, the man was 6'5". You know what I'm saying? He just looked like a giant. The one thing about John Lewis is that, like, he was so much a representative of the 5th District of Georgia. I used to see him all the time, you know, so it was amazing. You know, I got a chance to talk to him a little bit. And like, you remember me? You know, he play off like he remembered me, but now he didn't. Every time I see him, you know, I gotta remind him who I am. But like, yeah, I was a little bit like, man, we're telling your story now, though. Yeah.
I pretty much stayed out to myself before doing that scene. I kind of done the work and just hopefully that it would translate. And David is such a wonderful actor. You know, just the thing with actors is you want to be able to look in an actor's eyes and see the vulnerability. And I was able to look into David's eyes and trust that he was going to be there and that what he gave me back. So it was kind of a shared moment. And we never talked about it prior to doing it. And trusting that Ava would, you know, make whatever adjustments she needed to make. Right. And I said to her, you know, just keep me honest. Keep me honest. And I felt comfortable enough to kind of really dig deep. And I felt that I owed this to this man, to try to portray him as a real human being and the pain that he felt. The trooper that murdered Lee?
Yes, sir.
I don't think anything happened to him.
Well, I can tell you, 45 years later, he was finally convicted.
Oh, that's right. I did hear that.
Yes.
That's right.
But then he served five months.
Yes, I did hear that. Yes. Yeah.
Can you?
I was in the service. I was in the Army. I was for 9 years. I was tour in Europe, tour in Vietnam, tour in Europe, tour in Vietnam. So for 9 years, I was out of the country.
Thank you, sir, for your service. You were not in this country during the march?
No, in fact, in 1965, I was in Vietnam. And I remember a young guy coming over telling us, you know, what was going on in the States because we had Armed Forces radio and they didn't want to incite anything. So our information was limited. And the guy came over and said, you know, they're marching and, you know, and things are going on. And Martin Luther King said we should get out of Vietnam. And my response to that was, he should mind his own business. You know, because I thought I was fighting for a just cause. And it wasn't until I got out of the service that I found out that it was not as just. It wasn't about freedom and liberty and all that kind of stuff. It was about greed and money and power.
And so this filming experience, was it an opportunity for you?
Oh, this is my civil rights movement. I mean, you know, this was the beatings we took, the running through the streets. I got a chance to experience that. And so for me, this, as I've said, was a gift. And the crown jewel of my career. So I'm very appreciative of the film.
Speaking of gifts,